Why is credit union easier to be approved for a loan? So I love this question actually. And I've done a lot of research in this area. So the way that I look at lenders in general, right? Whether you're going to get pre-approved for a car or a credit card or a personal loan, they all have their own different requirements, what they call standards, on how they approve a loan. And so these guidelines are set. They're not, they can't be changed. It's very rare that they'll overturn approval because of you're off on a certain guideline by like a point. So for instance, let's say we're trying to get an auto loan. You have a 619 credit score, and your loan is submitted to Bank of America, Chase, and Capital One. And let's just say all three of them have the same standard of you have to have a 620 credit score or we won't approve you, right? And there's a lot more factors that go into that. So that's just kind of just a broad example, but the likelihood of them overturning it because you're off by 1 point and like you call them and be like, hey, please, I need to be approved. They turned you down because that's the standard and they just won't change that, right? So they'll turn you down. Whereas a credit union, it's different because a credit union, they have different guidelines. They're a lot more flexible with their guidelines. So let's say if the same credit union got your application, you're a 619 and their preliminary guideline is a 620, you could actually call and just tell them like, look, I'm right there, please pre-approve me. Or if you said like, why didn't I get approved? They're like, oh, you didn't meet our score requirements. You're like, well, what was score requirement? Like 620. Like, well, come on, can you guys do me a favor? And what they'll do is they'll route it up to the board. So with credit unions, there's a board of members that usually make the final decisions on these loans. And they're going to look at your history with them. Like, how long have you been a member? You know, how many loans have you done with them? And they're going to look at a lot of different things to say, like, can we override this decision? And in a lot of cases, credit unions, I've seen them override decisions where somebody was 100 points off. Like their score was 100 points less than what the requirement was, but they did it because, you know, they've been with them 25 years or their parents have been with them 15 years. And like, it was like they wanted to help them out, and they knew that, yeah, they didn't have the best supporting credit, but they knew that they have always made their payments on time on their bigger loans. It just like maybe they had a couple of mistakes or made a couple of mistakes maybe on a credit card or something. So they're going to look at the overall loan. And I'm not saying that somebody with a 100-point difference is going to get approved because they're going through a credit union, but your chances are much greater. So that's why I love credit unions. It's a relationship-based decision versus just a systematic decision. Credit unions will typically, depending on the loan, will go much further. And that goes a long way when you're trying to get pre-approved or you're in dire need to get approved for a loan and you have limited options. Credit unions can come through in a lot of these cases. So that's why I recommend credit unions.